According to Charles Murray, a libertarian political author, there's a growing upper class that is completely disconnected from American middle-class culture. And PBS, that bastion of liberal thought, helpfully gives us a 25-question quiz to let you know if you're part of the new evil upper class and should presumably feel bad about yourself. So I'm going to take the quiz, and as seems to happen a lot of these situations, I don't think it's going to turn out as they predict. So let's get started. Have you ever lived for at least a year in an American neighborhood where the majority of your 50 closest neighbors did not have college degrees? I've got no idea. It's been so long since I've even lived in a neighborhood at all. Before my recent move, I lived for 17 years in an area where my closest neighbor was half a mile away, and I honestly don't know 50 people well enough to have any clue about their educational status. I mean, right now at my new house, I think I know 3 people, and obviously none of them well. So I'm going to say no, even though I could be wrong. Did you grow up in a family in which the chief breadwinner was not in a managerial position or a high prestige position? Well, no, I didn't. My father was in a managerial position. And of course, he earned that. He never went to college, he came out of the military and worked hard to get up the ladder and make something of himself, but we know the left doesn't consider hard work to matter at all. Have you ever lived for at least a year in an American community with a population under 50,000 that is not part of a metropolitan area and is not where you went to college? Well, yes, I have. Alright, it's a bit hard in California to say what is and isn't part of a metropolitan area because virtually every city and town is part of a non-stop urban sprawl, such that there's no real defining lines between towns. But since I don't live close to any big cities, I'm saying yes. Have you ever lived for at least a year in the United States at a family income that was close to or below the poverty line? Yep, sure have, both as a child and a young adult. So, moving on. Have you ever walked on a factory floor? Well, yes I have, many times, and it was related to my job. It doesn't ask if I worked at the factory, it only asks if I have, as part of my work duties, walked on a factory floor. Well, absolutely yes. Have you ever held a job that caused something to hurt at the end of the day? Well, who hasn't? And that doesn't mean you had to do hard physical labor. Just walking around all day can make your feet hurt. Heck, driving a car all day can do the same thing. Not only have I hurt at the end of the day, I still do many days. Have you ever had a close friend who was an evangelical Christian? Well, since I was once too, obviously I did. And then it asked if I am one, which I'm not, but it never asked if I've ever been one. Do you now have a close friend with whom you have strong and wide-ranging political disagreements? Absolutely. Many of them. In fact, it wasn't too long ago that I had a weekly podcast with one of them. I'm not sure how this is a middle-class question, though, because you can have political disagreements regardless of your class. Have you ever had a close friend who could seldom get better than C's in high school, even if he or she tried hard? Well, I had plenty of friends who didn't do well in high school. I can't say how hard they tried because I haven't seen most of them in more than 30 years, and I honestly don't read minds, but yeah, okay. During the last month, have you voluntarily hung out with people who are smoking cigarettes? Nope. I don't voluntarily hang around with anyone who smokes. I have no friends that smoke. But then again, I never have. This is just a stupid question. Do you know what military rank is denoted by these 5 insignias? Well, yes I do. So the fuck what? I guess this is supposed to show who's been in the military, and I never have been. My father was before I was born, but I never was. Yet another stupid question. Do you know who Jimmy Johnson is? Yes, although only because my sister and brother-in-law occasionally watch NASCAR. I would never voluntarily sit through hours of people turning left. And I've never purchased Avon products because I'm male. But then again, my wife never has either because she's not stupid and shallow. Have you or your spouse ever bought a pickup truck? Nope. Now this doesn't ask if you've ever owned owned a pickup truck, at which point I'd have to say yes briefly, but I never actually bought it. It was given to me. During the last year, have you ever purchased domestic mass market beer to stock your own fridge? No. I haven't bought any beer or any other alcoholic beverage either. So this is yet another really idiotic question that proves nothing. I don't drink. Fuck you. During the last 5 years, have you or your spouse gone fishing? Nope. Not in the last 30 years, in fact. The last time I went fishing was with a buddy from work. We went down to a commercial lake, paid a couple bucks, and caught a couple fish. I wouldn't even know where to go to fish around here. How many times in the last year have you eaten in one of the following restaurant chains? Well, it's only been 2 of them. The 2 times at Denny's was in the last couple of weeks, and only because they're open 24 hours. Otherwise, I do go out to eat, but I've just got other places that aren't on the list that I prefer to eat. In high school, did you letter in anything? Nope. Didn't play sports at all. I was too busy getting a fucking education. Have you ever attended a meeting of a Kiwanis Club, Rotary Club, or Union Local? Nope. 0 interest. In fact, I don't think I've ever known anybody who's ever done any of that, regardless of their social standing. Have you ever participated in a parade not involving global warming, a war protest, or gay rights? Why, yes. Yes, I have. As a kid, I used to ride in parades all the time. My dad's company sponsored parades, and I got to ride on them every single year. Who cares? Since leaving school, have you ever worn a uniform? Well, they don't define what uniform means, and since every job I've ever had in my life has had a dress code where you're required to wear specific kinds of clothing, I'm saying yeah. And yes, I have actually had companies that paid to have suits rented, tailored, and washed every week with a professional company, so I'm counting it. Have you ever done either of these for a trip of 50 miles or more? Yes, I have. I have ridden a bus when I was younger with a friend, and we went on pretty long trips a couple times. I haven't done it in a very long time, though, but yes, I've done so. Which of the following movies have you seen at a theater or on DVD? Not sure what this has to do with anything, but I've seen some movies, all on DVD because I don't go to theaters. So what? Is this supposed to mean anything? I don't think it does. During the 2014-2015 television season, how many of the following series did you watch regularly? None of them. Not a one. Didn't see a single episode of any of them because I have 0 interest. What's this supposed to tell us? That the middle class has bad taste in television? Have you ever watched an episode of any of these all the way through? Hell no. Anybody who does is an idiot. What does the word Branson mean to you? Well, I'm aware of both usages, but the first that came to mind was the country music hotspot in Missouri. My mother used to be heavily into country music, and I know about it from that. Never been there, don't have any interest, I'm just aware of it. So what are my results? Well, they're confusing as hell. So I got 54 points, but there are so many overlapping scales that it really doesn't seem to mean anything. I have average movie-going and television habits? No, I don't. I have very specific tastes, and I don't watch anything mainstream. And clearly, I'm not a lifelong resident of a working-class neighborhood. I just spent 17 years not living in a neighborhood at all. I can't even find a decent definition of what an upper-middle-class family is. I don't even care about class. I think the whole thing, just like race and gender and all the rest, to be completely pointless. Be who you are, do what you do, and stop trying to fit in just because the idiots on the left think you should. My financial status doesn't define me any more than my race or my gender or my sexual orientation does. I am who I am. I am who I want to be. Anyone who doesn't like that can take a long walk off a short pier. I can't be classified based on any of these factors. And if you can, you're doing something wrong.